Okay, so Kal Kadosh, Boker Tov, Chodesh Tov, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Bezrat Hashem, a lot of miracles, Bezrat Hashem. We're just going to start again with the Mishnah on Yutet Amubet, but today's Daf is Daf Kaf. We'll just start the Mishnah so that way we could understand what's going on. 1 second, let me just send the link. By the way, the tefillah that I sent yesterday was supposed to be done yesterday. I apologize if it wasn't clear. That was the tefillah for the Segulav Parnasa. Okay. So says the Mishnah. En tzolim basar, batzal ubeitza, ela kedei sheyitzolu mibod yom. So we're not going to roast from Erev Shabbat. Basar, batzal ubeitza. So we're talking about whether it's meat, onions, or beitza, an egg. Ela kedei sheyitzolu mibod yom. Unless it's going to be roasted throughout the day. En notrim pat latanur. And it has to be done during the day. It cannot wait until afterwards. En notrim, right? Also pat latanur. You're not allowed to put bread in the oven im chashecha right before it's nighttime. Okay, this is again going to be with a shemesh, which means the same thing. Im shemesh or im chashecha. Velo charera, or a type of a uga, a type of a cake of gabe gechalim and coals. Unless it's going to become toasted or roasted. As usually, when it gets that crusty place, that's what it is. Right? It says, Rabbi Eliezer says, in order that the bottom part is going to become karum, right? It's a bottom part. So we're going to speak about this, about whether it's the top part, which part actually goes in the oven, right? On the side of the oven, but they used to put them on the walls of the oven. So which side actually comes roasted first? Okay, Mishal Shalim. You're going to bring down the Korban Pesach on the oven, right? Im chashecha, which means you could bring it down right before nighttime. Okay? You actually light a little bit of the wood in the Bet HaMoked on Erev Shabbat before it's nighttime, and we're not going to suspect, because since the Kohanim are zrizin him, so we're not going to suspect that they're going to come and start stoking the coals. Okay, now Kafa Mudalef on the top of the Grulin, and outside of the Bet HaMikdash, when they have to do it during the day, you need that the fire will catch on to the majority of it. Okay? So it says, Yehuda says, with Pechamim, we're talking about with Pechamim, which are charcoals, culture, who as long as it got cut on a little bit. Why? Because it's not normal for it to turn off, and therefore you don't have to start stoking these charcoals in order to have the fire. Okay? So again, we're on Kaf Amud Aleph. We're just starting the Gemara now. We just did a review of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, the Kama, how much do you have to roast, whether we're talking about the meat, the onions, or the egg before the Shabbat, in order that we're not going to suspect of the entire concept of maybe you're going to stoke the coals. So the Gemara says, Amar Bilatam Rav says the name of Rav, you have to actually roast it k'ma'achal ben drusai. So here in the footnote, it's bringing down Shitat Rashi, that it's actually going to be a third of the bishul, even though if you remember, I told you, if I remember correctly, it's going to become a half bishul. That's what Shulchan Aruch is posek, because in Chot Shabbat, he's posek lechumra. Okay, like the Rambam, which is basically going to be a half of the bishul, not a third bishul. Okay? Itmanami was also stated, Amar Avasi Amar Rav Yochanan, says Avasi name of Yochanan, Kol shehu k'ma'achal ben drusai, embo mishum bishul goy. So anything which is going to be ma'achal ben drusai, there's no problem with bishul goy. Okay, so that's also important. Right? That means once it already was cooked a third way, so here it is going to be a third way, right? So then it's going to be, there's no problem of bishul goy. Okay, so Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Chaniya says, Kol shehu k'ma'achal ben drusai, mutar lashoto al gabe kira, ve'af al pi she'negrufa k'tuma. So this is the famous Chananya that I told you yesterday. Shitat Chananya is brought down as a Yesh Omrim and Maran, the Yesh Omrim Maran says is that the Stam V'Yesh, in according to the Yesh Omrim, the second, which is Chananya, and that's the Minhag, by the way, of the Sfaradim, the second that we have something which is going to be cooked, the halfway over here, so then what happens is there's no problem with Shia anymore. I'm not going to suspect that you're going to come and stoke the coals or do anything, so therefore you're actually allowed to come and you're allowed to leave it on a live fire on Shabbat. That's what it means, that even though it's not Karuf Katum. Karuf Katum means either you took out the gechalim, you took out the coals, or Katum means that you put efer, you put ashes on the gechalim, and therefore by putting ashes on the gechalim, we're not going to suspect that you're going to come and you're going to stoke the coals. Okay? So until here we're clear. This is actually very halakha l'maaseh. You want me to take it very, very quickly. Halakha l'maaseh, you have this as well. Here in Siman, it says over here like this. אין צולי בצל וביצה ובשר גבי חכלים וכדי שיצאו מבעוד יום משני צדדיו כמאכל בנוסי שהוא חצי בישולו, which is going to be חצי הבישול. So this is the Shulchan Aruch Siman Resh Nun Daled Sif Bet. So Maran actually paskins like this, and here he's saying that it's going to be chetzi bishul. So here I remember also that he brought this down. Why is he saying it's going to be chetzi bishul? And he says, afilu. No, here it doesn't bring it down. I remember somebody bring it down. It could be in Siman Resh Nun Gimel. Because in Siman Resh Nun Gimel, Maran brings down also the Yesh Omrim. And in the Yesh Omrim, he comes and he says that it's going to be permitted. Says like this. So here it says it's Ma'achal ben Drusai. What is Ma'achal ben Drusai? Some people say it's Chetzi Bishul. Some people say it's Shlish Bishul. This is on Siman Resh Nun Gimel Sif Aleph. So he says over here, the Shulchan Aruch later on in Siman Resh Nun Daled Sif Bet, it's Chetzi Bishul. So here there's a 46. In the 46 it says, right? No, he doesn't actually speak about why does Maran make a difference. Okay, so I saw it somewhere else, but for sure it's brought down. But basically in Shulchan Aruch here in Chot Shabbat, he brought down, it was, I think it was maybe Rav Panidi then. He brings down the Shulchan Aruch over here that it's going to be Chetzi Bishul, and in Chot Bishul Akum, he brings down it's Shlish Bishul. And the reason why is because in Chot Shabbat he was Machmir. Okay? Fine. Says the next two dots. En notnin pat. So you're not supposed to put the bread into the oven unless it's going to come and it's going to be korem tachton. You're going to have the krum tachton, which means that it's going to become crusty, right? Or when it becomes the nice glaze on the top. So it says here like this. Ibailehu. So we're asking the question. When it says tachton, what's the tachton that we're dealing with? Right? Ech degabe tanur or dilma tachton ech degabe haur. What is the bottom part? Is the bottom part the one which is attached to the oven, which means you have the bread. Remember that they used to put the bread on the walls. So they put the bread on the walls. Is the tachton, the bottom part, towards the oven or towards the fire? That's what the Gemara is asking. Let me check here if we have a picture. Yeah, we have a picture. I'm going to send you a picture. And while we're at it, let's take a picture of the one as well. So 1 second, I'm going to show you the picture now. So look, here, oh, It did what it did with you, Yitzchak. Okay, so the picture went on the side, but basically like this. If I'm going to just zoom in, this is the tanur. I apologize that this is the way that it came out. This is the tanur, and they used to put it on the walls of the tanur. So basically, do I say the aleph, which is basically tachton idach, which is by the fire, which means that this is considered the tachton, or do I say the bet, which is the bet is over here, right, or over here as well, which is on the side of the tanur? Is that considered the tachton? Okay. Another one also was this. This is just again the same thing. I apologize. Let me see if I could. No. This is the kira grufa, which basically means that they take out, right, all the coals, and this is tuma, that this is the coals, but they put efer right on top of the kira. They put the efer on top of the coals. Okay, and this is just the fire of the bet hamokeh that we mentioned before. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara. Who were asking the question, Tachton hechte gabe tanur or Dilma Tachton hechte gabe ha'ur. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. Rabbi Eliezer says, Kedeshi kremu panea mdubakim batanur. So here it says that you wanted that it should be kremu panea, which is stuck to the oven. So therefore this answers it that obviously the Tachton is the part which is stuck to the oven. Now, which one actually goes first, which is also very, very interesting. That's also an interesting question. Which one is actually going to become quicker to become cooked? But fine. Mishashalin to Pesach. Next one. You're allowed to bring down the Pesach inside of the tanur right before the chashecha. My time, what's the reasoning why they permitted you to start the roasting process of the Pesach Erev Shabbat close to the nighttime? Because obviously it was Erev Pesach fell on Erev Shabbat, like last year and the year before as well, which Pesach was on Friday night. So on Erev Shabbat, they already permitted you to do it, to put it down and to start roasting it. And they didn't prohibit it because of Shemicha de B'Kechalim. So answers the Gemara, Mishum B'nei Chabura Zrizimhen. Because the people of B'nei Chabura, which are on the Korban Pesach, they're very, very quick and they're careful. And therefore, they're going to remind each other not to start stoking the coals. So says the Gemara, Halav Hachilo. But if you're going to tell me that if it wasn't the reason of the B'nei Chabura or Zizimhem, we wouldn't permit them to do that? The Amar Mor says, Gadia Sharik Ben Lo Sharik Shapidami. We already learned this in the Daf, I think it was 2 days ago. And when you had a Gedi, and this Gedi, whether it was Sharik or Lo Sharik, which means whether you came and you sealed the oven or you didn't seal the oven, it doesn't matter. It's going to be permitted because it's a kid. The kid, this Gedi, was permitted to do so. And we didn't say that it was going to become prohibited. So even without the reasoning of the B'nei Chabura, right, or it also should become prohibited, but it should be permitted, sorry, because of this, even without the reason of the B'nei Chabura Zizimhem. So answers the Gemara, Hatam Mintach, there to do with the tzliyat of the Basar Gedi, it's Mintach, which means it's Minutach Lenetachim, right, which means that it's cut into different pieces. So therefore, if it's cut into different pieces, for sure you're not going to be Mechatev V'Chalim, because again, the Ruach, the wind, is going to be bad for the meat. If you remember, that was one of the reasons. Hacha, but here in our Mishnah, we're talking about lo mintach. It wasn't cut into pieces. It was full. It was a whole animal. So since it was a whole animal, the ruach, the wind, is not going to be mazik the whole animal. So therefore, we would suspect that you're going to open up the oven. So that's why we needed the reason of the B'nei Chabura are going to be zizimhem in order to make sure that you're going to permit you. Okay? Says the Gemara, next, 2 dots. Umachizin et ha'ur. We're talking about that you're going to put the fire in the Medurat Bet HaMokeh. How do we know these words? Amar Ravuna comes and he says, what does it mean? You're not allowed to do a fire b'chol mashotechem on Yom HaShabbat. So it's mashal b'chol mashotechem. You're not allowed to make a fire in any of your dwelling places. But you are allowed to do it in the Bet HaMokeh, which is in the Bet HaMikdash. So therefore, it comes here that the rabbis did not prohibit to get the fire in the Bet HaMokeh right close to the Shabbat. Because even on Shabbat itself, it would have been mutar mina Torah to make this medura. So if it was permitted on Shabbat itself, so therefore Erev Shabbat, im chashecha, I'm going to be permitted as well. So Matkif Rav Chasta comes and he asks the following question: Ihachi, if so, if mina Torah you are permitted to come and you're permitted to light the fire in the Bet HaMokeh itself, so afilu b'Shabbat nami. So why are you doing it Erev Shabbat? You should be able to do it on Shabbat itself. El Amar Rav Chasta, but rather Rav Chasta says, Kra ki'ata lamishe varim uptarim udata. No, the heter here is talking about that you're making the fire on the Shabbat in order to permit the burning of the varim and uptarim, which are basically the limbs, right, and the fats and everything, which are going to be. So therefore, he says over here, you're allowed to light them for the Leil Shabbat. You're allowed to burn them in the Shabbat because it's necessary for the avodah. So he says, but if it's not going to be necessary for the avodah, and it's only going to be necessary for the kohanim, there was no heter to do that on Shabbat. So the reason why it was going to be permitted on Erev Shabbat, in Chashechat, to do it was only because kohanim zuzim him. Which means, one more time, if it was going to be permitted for the Korban Tamid, right, which is going to be for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so anything for HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have been permitted even on Shabbat. But if it was going to be done for the Kohanim, it would have been prohibited. So because of that, the reason why you're doing this is because this is for the Kohanim. So therefore, it's only because of the reason that the Kohanim are zrizim him that you're allowed to do such things. But if not, then it wouldn't have helped whatsoever in order to do it. Okay, next two dots. What about outside of the Bet HaMikdash? Right, so we said it had to be the majority of the fire actually caught on. Mayruban, what does it mean, the majority? Amar Rav says, the majority of all the pieces of wood, which means you're going to take all the pieces of wood, the majority of all the pieces of wood have to already be on fire. Shmuel says, no, it's already enough that the fire started that you don't have to bring other pieces of wood in order to continue making it, into a bonfire, which means that, many times in a barbecue, whatever, you're going to bring extra pieces of wood and then you continue going. No, it means that it's already on enough, must speak, that it's enough that you're not going to bring any other pieces of wood from anywhere else. Okay, another similar halacha, etz yechidi, right? What happens right now if you're going to turn on one individual piece of wood? Okay, so he says, Rav Amar Rav says, rov of yo, you need that the majority of the thickness will be on fire right before the Shabbat. The Amila, and some people say, the majority of the circumference. Okay, so he says, some people say it goes on the majority of the circumference even before the majority of the thickness. Okay, fine. And then it says over here, right? Amar Rav Papa says Rav Papa hilkach, therefore, ba'inan rov of yo, u'ba'inan rov ekefo. You need the majority of both. Since there's a machloke between Rav, right, and the Amila, and some people say it's not, some people say Rav said differently, but it's both in the opinion of Rav, we have to go stringent. And therefore, in both of them, we need the majority. The majority of the ekef and the majority of also the ovi. So the majority of the thickness and the majority of the circumference has to be on fire. So says the Gemara, Ketanai. This is actually Ve'emet Machlokat Tanaim. Why? He says, Rabbi Chia says, it has to be that the fire already gets to it, and now you can't use it anymore. Which means that it's already consumed, so you can't use it. Rabbi Yehuda says, either the fire should be on both sides. So he says, which is the majority of the ekef. So and even though there's no proof from the pasuk, there's a hint from the pasuk in Yechezkel. He says if you're going to have both sides, right, of the fire consuming it, right, and it's going to be dry because of the fire. Can you use it for melacha? So this pasuk, which is talking about Anshe Yerushalayim, right? It says we are compared to a geffen. Okay, so he says over here, right, which is not bringing fruits. So he comes over here and it's saying that this is the proof that you need, right? The rova ekef, and the other shita said no, that it's going to be rova of yo. The first one, which is basically now that you can't do any work with it, was rova of yo, the majority of the thickness. The second shita is even rova ekef, the majority of the circumference. Okay, then it says v'ha'ach lefanav mevueret. So we're going to try to explain this pasuk to do with the lighting of the fire. What does it mean, v'ha'ach lefanav mevoeret? So he says over here, Amar Rav, says Rav, achvana, it's arava. Okay, what does this mean, it's arava? So it says, okay, this is Rashi saying this. So this is the arava, this is the wood which is going to be burnt. Ushmul Amar, etzim shenidleku be'achvana. It's pieces of wood that you lit them together, be'achva, right? Which means in a medura. So therefore you come and you light them together. Okay, so it says, Ha'ud Amar lehu. So there was somebody that he went and he said, Man by achvana, who wants achvana? Ishtacha charveta. Right? Who's going to find this achvana? He says you should go look for somebody that's selling aravot. If somebody's selling arabot, so therefore he says, you could come and you could find achvana. Let me just see here if there's anything. No. Okay. So then it says here as follows. Amar Ravuna comes and he says, Kanim, right? When you have Kanim, so you made a medura, you made like a bonfire out of Kanim, out of reeds. En Tzichin Rov, you do not need the majority of them to get on fire. Why? Because since they light on their own, it's very easy for it to become on fire, so therefore you don't need that. Agadan, but if you tie them all together, then you do need the Rov, right? Why? Because then the shalhev, the fire cannot go in between them because they're all tightly stuck together. Garinin, when we're talking about a bonfire which is made out of garinin, yivashim, we're talking about dry seeds, en tzichin, right? You do not need the fire will go in the majority of them before the Shabbat. But again, if you put them together, right? You put them in the baskets together with the kluim and lulavim, and then you put it on fire, again, you need the majority of it because again, the fire cannot go in between each one. So Matkifla Rav Chasta comes and he asks against Ravuna, Adraba, the opposite. Ibcha mistabra, the opposite. He says, Kanim mibadran, when you have kanim, which are not tied together, you have reeds which are not tied together, and the mibadran, and they're all separate, right? So then in such a case, he says there we're going to suspect, maybe you're going to light them on Shabbat, right? Why? So therefore you need the majority before Shabbat, because if not, it's all separate, it's all in different places, so it's not going to catch one to another. Agedan, but if you tie them together, you bound them together, no mibadran, you don't need to start putting it on fire because it says what's going to happen is, for sure they're all going to catch on fire. The second one catches, it goes to the next and continue going. Garinin mibadran, right? The garinin, when they're separate, again you need the majority of them. It's a number chotolot, but if you put them together in a basket all together, lo mibadran, they're not going to be separate, and therefore the fire for sure is going to go on all of them. So it comes out, Rav Chasta argues the exact opposite svara of Rav Huna. He says, Rav Huna, you just told me that if they're together, you have to light the majority of them, but if they're separate, no, because each one's going to catch on the other one. I say the exact opposite. He says if each one is separate, it's not going to catch. He says if they're all together, it's going to go one by one to the other, because they're all together. Itmar Nami was also stated, right? Kafa Mubet. Amar Rav Kahana says, Kanim shagdan tzichin rov, lo agdan tzichin rov. Rav Kahana says like this shita of Rav Chasta, which argued on Rav Huna, that if you have them agdan, then you need the majority of them. Okay, and if lo agdan en tzichin rov, then you don't need the majority of them. Okay, garinin tzichin rov, en tzichin rov. So that was exactly like Rav Chasta. Okay, so Tani Rav Yosef comes and he brings the bright and he says, Arba medurot en tzichin rov. There's 4 types of bonfires that do not need the majority of it to become on flames in order to permit it on the Erev Shabbat. He says, shel zefet of tar, the shel gofrit of sulfur, the shel gvina of cheese. Okay, here the other people have the girsa sha'ava, which is like of wax. The shel revav, or anything which is like a shuman or sha'ava, which basically again of oil or anything of fats. Okay, the matzinita Tana and the matzinita we also learned also kash and gvava. Kash is the straw which they get from the field also, and the gvava as well. It says over here. Here you have a picture of the kash and the gvava. It says gvava is the bottom part, is bet, and the aleph. You got bet and aleph. This is gvava, and this is the kash. Okay, so that's what we just said here. Okay, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan, etzim shel Bavel en tzechim rov. Also the wood trees, right? The etzim wood in Bavel also do not need that it goes in the majority of them. Okay, why? Because I guess it's very easily to get burnt. So Matki Flood of Yosef comes and he asks, Mahi, what is that say Bavel? What does it mean the woods of Bavel? If you're just going to tell me that they're just some thin pieces of wood that you start lighting in Bavel, so why do we say that you don't need the majority? Hashta petila. If we're going to tell me that if you have a petila, which is one of these wicks that are inside of shemen, and it's easy to light, and Ula says, you still need the majority of the petila to be on fire. Hayotze, right? Something that comes out of the shemen, right? Which is basically that it says over here, Hayotze, in order that it shouldn't come out, siltemi bay. So then 1 second. If it's coming out of the oil and it's inside of oil, you still need the majority of the petila of the wick to be lit. Obviously, a piece of wood, you need the majority of it to be lit. So answers the Gemara, Elama Rav Yosef, but rather Rav Yosef says, Socha de Arza. We're talking about an anaf of Eres. We're talking about a branch of a cedar tree, which is very dry and thin. So therefore, it has like a tsemer ben klipa. So it's got like a type of like wool in between the klipa and the etz, the wood and its peel. So therefore, that's what makes it like get on fire very, very easily. The Rabbi Barama says Zaza. We're talking about it's like a kamin tachav tzmeach saviv leilan. It's something which grows around it, which makes it very easily also to. But it's not the actual wood in itself. The tzimul bavel is the zaza, which is basically it's a type of a tzomeach which goes around the tree. That's what we said that you don't need the majority of it to actually become to become on fire very, very easily. Hadran alach yitziot Shabbat. Okay, so we start the second perek. Until here, everyone was clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we're on perek sheni. This is the Bameh Malikin. So this is a very famous one. I'm sure everyone remembers this. So let's start. Bameh Malikin, Bameh Malikin. So what can you light for the lights of Shabbat, the candles of Shabbat? Okay, what can you light? Bameh Malikin, the Nerot of Shabbat, Bameh Malikin. Okay, so we're going to speak about at the beginning the different psulim in the tila, in the actual wicks in itself. So it says, Emalikin lo belechesh, you cannot light with lechesh. Lechesh is like a type of a wool, which is found in the cedar tree between the klipa le'etz. That's what we just said about before. That's what we just said two lines ago, right? About the lechesh, okay, about this concept, the shocha de arza. Okay, so it says over here, so this is the lechesh, you cannot light with that. So here it says, okay, this we're actually explaining it according to how it's going to be explained in the Gemara. That's what it says here. Velo bechosen, not with chosen. Chosen is pishtan shenu menupatz, which is basically flax, which is not, how do you say menupatz? It's not cleaned properly. It's not taken out the.
It said floss silk. Not with floss silk.
Not with floss silk. Okay. Velo bechalach. Right, and not with chalach. This is a bad type of a silk. The previous one was silk. I thought pishtan is always flax.
The other one is uncarded flax.
Okay, uncarded flax. Exactly. Because pishtan is always flax. So uncarded in English means that they didn't. When you do niputs, you're combing it. No, like you didn't take out all the bad stuff from it. No.
I think so.
You think so? Okay, I don't know. You know what uncarded means? I don't. Let's check the dictionary very quickly. You said uncarded, like UNCAR?
Yes, the uncarded.
But it's UN at the beginning?
Yes.
There's no word like that in the dictionary. UNCARDED? You can't see it anyway. I don't know. Okay. Uncarded flax. Okay, whatever that means.
Shave, no? Not shave, when they take the impurity out, no?
Yeah, that's what I said, but I think it's done through combing, no? Niputs. I was niputs. I think it's...
Yeah. That's what it is. I saw it one time before.
Okay, very good. So it says over here, actually, you know what, here it is, yeah. Okay, I'll take a picture. Nafitz, bin Sexual Bazel. I'll take the picture. I just realized it now. We're looking too far. Let me share the screen. There you go. This is the niputs. Nafitz b'masrek shel barzel. You come and you take out all the impurities with this masrek shel barzel, with this iron comb. Okay? Fine. Okay. So it says over here like this. So it says that's the velo bechosen. The chosen is the uncarded flax. Velo bechalach is the bad type of a silk, right? The negative part of the silk, right? Meshi garua, it's a bad one, bad quality. Velo biftilat aidan, and not like with a tzemer, which is found in an etz arava between the klipa and the etz, so this is called biftilat haidan. So interesting, in the etz arava, between the klipa and the wood, between the peel and the wood, there's a type of also tzemer, like a type of a wool. Velo biftilat hamidbar, and not also with the ptilat hamidbar, which is basically a min esev aroch. It's a very long esev, shekolim, yeah, shekolim, oto ve'osim mimenu ptilot. They come and they make it into פתילות, אוקיי? ולא בירוקה של פני מים, or not ירקרקת הגדלה בתחתית ספינות עוגנות, or not the ירוקה, which is the green things which grow underneath the boats. Right? So all of these things you're not allowed to use as ptilim, so I cannot make wicks out of them. Okay? So these are the things of wicks. And now we're going to go to the shemanim. So beforehand were all the wicks, right? These are all the wicks, and then part of them actually did say, beftilat ha'idam, beftilat ha'midbar. So all these things were the wicks, and now we're going to the actual oils in itself. Why? Because the wicks do not light well with the oil. So it says velo bezefet, not with nozel av sheyotze me'etzim. So usually we translate it as tar. Here it says it's a very thick, nozel, a thick liquid that comes out from wood. Velo b'sha'ava, not with wax. Velo b'shemen kik, and not with shemen kik. What is this? It says over here, shemen kik. It just says, look below. There's three explanations in the Gemara what is shemen kik. Okay, so that's why now we're not explaining it. Velo b'shemen serefa, and not with oil, shetaun serefa, not with oil that needs serefa. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, also the Gemara later on is going to explain this. Okay, velo be'alya, not with the alya. The alya is the shuman, the fats of a tail. The alya is always a tail, but here we're talking about another keres of a sheep. Velo bechelev, not with the fats. Okay, so also this is chelev is the prohibited fats, not the shuman. Shuman was the permitted fats, is the prohibited fats. Nachum Hamadi omer, Nachum Hamadi comes and he says, yeah, malikim bechelev mevushal. You can come and you could use chelev which is mevushal, is according to Rashi, which means that he's permitting the chelev right after it was already cooked. Other people say it's matir the chelev sheitichu v'shul, and then afterwards it cooled down and again it congealed. Chachamim say echad mevushal v'echad she'enu mevushal, whether it's cooked or not cooked, and malikim bo, right? You're not going to light in it. Okay, so these are the types of oils. So it says the Gemara. Okay, lechesh. What is lechesh? Says the Gemara shochad de'arza. So this was the same word that we just used on the top of the page. The shochad de'arza, which is again, so this is the lechesh, which is basically the anaf shel erez, when we have the branch of the cedar wood, that it's going to be dry and very thin, so there's the mean semer between the klipa le'etz. Okay, shochad de'arza, right? It says the Gemara, shochad de'arza, it's damahu. It says 1 second. Shochad de'arza is a wood. So you can make ptilim out of wood. This is a wood. So it says the Gemara, be'amrinata dit, but no, you're making the wool, you're making the ptilim from the sibim of the semen, which basically like the little tiny pieces, not from the actual wood in itself, but between the klipa, the peel, and the wood, you're making this lechesh from in between there, that you do have a little tiny substance that is like semen, that is like a wool-like, that you're able to do it. Okay, next. Velo bechosen. What is chosen?
Is it like a kilaim?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you again. One more time.
Is it a kilaim, the lechesh?
No, it's not kilaim. This is mamash, this is a wood. But inside the wood, if I would take off the peel of the wood, between the peel of the wood, the outside part, not the bark, but I don't know what you call it. Yeah, the outside part of the wool, the wood. And the inside, the wood in itself, there's like a very thin layer. And that thin layer is like tzemer. It's like there's no kilaim, there's nothing here. This is basically just got a little tiny thin membrane. I don't know what you want to call it. Now this thin, whatever it is, it's like tzemer. So therefore, you're able to actually use that for the wicks. That's what it's saying. Sorry, you're not allowed to use that for the wicks.
You're not allowed to use it.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use lo belechesh. You're not allowed to use lechesh. Okay. Fine. Next one was chosen. You're not allowed to use chosen. What is chosen? Amar Rav Yosef neoret shel pishtan. We're talking about sibe pishtan, which are broken and very short, which they're not fitting to make as flat, so you can't even use it. So Amar Abaye comes and he asks against this, and he says, "Vakti baya hechason li neoret." It says a chason was right, good for the neoret. So therefore, it comes out that chosin is not neoret. Because if you're telling me that the chosin was for neoret, it's not the same thing. But rather, Abaye says you're right. It's kitna the daik velo nafitz. It's kitna is either they translate usually as cotton or as linen, right? So it's the linen or the flax, right, which is basically the daik, which is chavut, which means that they took it from the givolim in order to break it and take out the sibim, all these different impurities. Velo nafitz, but it wasn't cleaned, it wasn't cleansed. So it says over here it's going to be prohibited. So that was the picture that I showed you, that they would take out all the impurities with this type of a brush, and they didn't do so. So you're not allowed to use this as well. Velo bechalach. What was velo bechalach? We said it was a very inferior type of silk. So it says, Amar Shmuel, and Shmuel says, Sheltini lechol nechute yama. I asked all the people that go down to the sea. Ve'amri li, and they told me, kulcha shmeh, that the name of this is actually kulcha, which is basically, this is a type of a silk, type of a linen, not linen, sorry, a type of a wool, right? It says over here, ken semer, which is found al avanim shabayam, on the stones of the sea. They'll see menu petilot, and they make petilot from it. Nowadays, it says it's called ezov. Okay, I don't know if it's algae, I don't know what it is exactly, but basically they make petilot from it. Okay, next, another explanation. Ravitza bar Zera Amar, he says, it's gushkira, it's the psolet of meshi. So this was the explaining what we said in the above, in the Mishnah, which basically is an inferior part of the meshi, of the silk, which is made out of mipikach al tolata meshi, which is made out of the tolata meshi, and then afterwards they come and they make the bud from it. So you're not allowed to use it, because again, it doesn't, all these things that you're not allowed to use is because it doesn't go good, the flame on it, and therefore it's prohibited. Ravin and Abaye So Ravin and Abaye were sitting in front of Reb Nechemia. Okay, ve'achuha deresh kaluta, the brother of the Resh Kaluta. Okay, chazi davi lavesh mitaksa. So he saw that he was actually coming and wearing a beautiful clothing out of silk. Okay, Amar le Ravin Abaye. So Ravin comes and he says to Abaye, Hainu kalach ditnan. This is the kalach that we learned, the kalach that we learned in the Mishnah. Right, this is the chalach that we learned, that you're not allowed to use it as the lighting of the candle. Amarle, he came and he said, he says as follows. Amarle Abaye comes and he said to Ravin, Anan Shira Pradna Karinale. We call this the Yikara Meshi, which is Shira Pradna, and not Kalach, which means he said that it's not the Yikara of the Meshi, but the Psolet of the Meshi. Just like Rabbi Yitzhak Bar Zira. That's why in the Mishnah, we also translated it like the Maskana of the Gemara, which is the Psolet of the Meshi. Right? That means the refuse of the Meshi, not the good part. Because this is actually called the good part of the Meshi. Obviously, he's not going to be, praising him on such a beautiful clothing. He's telling him, listen, this is a garbage material. Okay? So Meitvei, so they come and they ask the question now, Hashiraim ve'akalach ve'asrikin chayvei b'tzitzit. It says here the shiraim, or the kalach, and the srikin. These are different types of meshi, which are made of the yikara meshi. So here it says, mikalach u'mimeshirach, right? They're obligated in tzitzit. So you come here and it says that you see that kalach is actually different species. And not like Ravin said that the shiraim is the kalach, right? Because he says there's two different things, the shiraim and the kalach. Here, right beforehand, we just said, Anashira Pradna, we called it the shiraim of the Pradna, and we just said that that's not like kalach, right? And here we're saying it's two different things, the shiraim, okay, and the kalach, and the slikin. So it's mashma, they're two different species. And not like Ravin said that shiraim is the kalach. So, okay, so it says tiyuf. That's actually a good question. Ibaiteim, or if you want, you could actually answer it. Shira lechub and Shira Pradna lechub. There's two different names. One of them is Shira, and one of them is Shira Pradna, which means the Shiraim is what we said about to do the Yikara Meshi, is one type. Shira Pradna was another type. So there's two different types, and that's what he was wearing, Shira Pradna. He wasn't wearing the regular Shira, which that could have been the same or not. Okay? Next, Velo Biftilat Idan. So we said in the Mishnah, we said that this was going to be, Biftilat Idan was like a tzemer which is found on an etzarava, on a myrtle, the myrtle, no? No, myrtle is the hadas. Arava is, how do you translate arava in English? The
willow.
The willow tree, exactly, the willow. So the willow. So it says over here, the tzemer shenitza be'etzarava ben a klipa le'etz. So we're talking about, again, the same thing, between the klipa and the wood, we're talking about that there's like another type of a membrane inside the tzemer. So also that's going to be biftilat ha'idan. So it says in the Gemara, achlina. He says these are sibim ken tzemer. These are like little tiny sieves or little tiny pieces of fibers, like tzemer, which is found in the etz arava, between the klipa and the etz. So then there's going to be a story with this. Rabbi Abaye Abu Kazlu bepakta de Tamrurita. They were going in Bikat Tamrurita, in the valley of Tamrurita. Chazinu lana orvata. So they found an etz arava. Amale Rabbi Abaye. Rabbi comes and he says to Abaye, Hainu idan ditnan. This is the idan that we're talking about. Amale Abaye comes and he tells Rabbi, right? Hahi etz be'almahu. He says, no, that's just a regular type of a tree. That's a regular tree. How are you going to make tilot out of that? So kalaf, he went and he actually was kolefete. He peeled it. And then he showed him the amnanita, the wool, the little tiny sieves again in between that you were able to make tilim from it. So therefore, he actually did show this to Abaye. This is the same Ravin and Abaye that we just mentioned before about trying to find out what was the chalach. So the same thing now, they're trying to find out what is the biftilat ha'idan. Okay, then we said, velo biftilat mibar. What is biftilat mibar? So he said it's a min esev aroch. It's a very long esev, a very long grass, right? Which they come and they make tilot out of it. So it says ainu shavra. This is a shavra, which is again it's a min esev aroch. You could come and you can make tilot from it. Next, velo birokash al penamayim. What is birokash al penamayim? So birokash al penamayim we said was the yirakraka which is growing on the stones on the things underneath the sfinot, underneath the boats, right? They grow these like green. I don't know, you want to call it algae, these green things which are growing underneath. So what is this exactly? If you're going to tell me the yekriko which is growing on the on the top of the water, he says you can't say that, right? Why? It says he says they break very easily, so you can't make a tilot out of them. So obviously we're not talking about this because you can't make tilot out of it. Brother Papa says ukmata de arba. We're talking about the yekriko which is growing right on the bottom of the boats, on the outside, right, which is always going to stay in one place. So that green things which grow there, that's what we're talking about. It's very strong, so you could actually make a wicks out of it. Tana, and we also learned in a Braita, Vosifu alehen, they added on to them shel semer v'shel se'ar. The same thing that means also in the Mishnah, we said you cannot use wicks which are made out of any type of wool or out of se'ar, or out of hair. Okay, so that's what they added on to the Mishnah. And then it says the Tana Didan. Okay, in our Tana, Tzemer michvatz kavitz. He says when you actually light it, it actually shortens it shrinks, and therefore it doesn't light at all. The se'ad ichruch b'chach, and hair burns completely. So therefore that's why it's not fitting to make any type of tilim out of it, and that's why he didn't even have to mention it. Our Tana. So our Tana agrees that you're not allowed to use hair or wool. But why? Right? Because according to this, our Tana, he says what? When you're going to come and you're going to use wool, what happens is that it shrinks, so it's not even a light. And the same thing, halacha would apply to the hair. It completely just burns up and that's it. There's nothing left. So that's why he didn't have to mention it. But the other Tana, in the Braita, he did add it in there. You're not allowed to use it. Fine. Then we said you're not allowed to use zephet. So what is zephet? It's something that comes out, we usually translate it as tar, which comes out of the wood. It's a thick liquid that comes out of the wood. So zephet is zifta. What is sha'ava? Sha'ava is kiruta, which is sha'ava. Okay? So it's just giving you the names in Aramaic. Tana, we learned in a Braita, ad kan psul petilot. Until here, these was the psul of the petilot. Mikam ve'elach, psul shmanim. And then from then onwards, when we're going to say lo b'zefet, lo b'sha'avav, lo b'shekiv, lo b'shaveh, that's already the shemen. We're mentioning the shemens. Okay, so then we're talking about the psul shemanim. So ask the Gemara, pshita, obviously. So says the Gemara, no, right? Because even though beforehand we were talking about the biftilat, right? We kept on saying biftilat amiba, biftilat haidan, right? And then all of a sudden we got to shemen kik, shemen srefat. So obviously we switched to the shemen. It says no, but what about the shava? Because in the middle between the ptilot, you brought down the shava. So he says, Shava itzichele. You needed to teach about the Shava. He says, why? Ma'u detema, I would have thought to say, Liptilot nami lo chazia. That it's not fitting also for petilot. Which means, Shava is not fitting also if you make it like a petila. Right? Just like when you're making the Nerot Shava. With the shava, we make wax candles, correct? Candles, a lot of candles are made out of wax. So he says, so Kamashmanan comes teaching me, which means the shava is psula only when, that means the shava, wax is going to be pasul only when you put it inside of a candle and you're using it as shemen. But nirot shava, which is basically wax candles, you're allowed to use it. So that's why I had to tell you that. Because basically what happened was, as he says, until Yirokash al Pnei Hamayim was all the ptilot. Afterwards, when we mentioned shava, if you're going to tell me that shava is going to be used as a wick, why not? We use wax candles all the time. A lot of women, right, until they started doing the hidurim of what's brought down that you should actually use shemen zayit and you should use olive oil, a lot of women use wax candles all the time. So therefore, what are you going to do? So here he's saying, no, here he's saying is that I would have thought to say that you can't use it as a wick. Kamashmanan, for sure you could use it as a wick. But you can't use it as the oil. Meaning I cannot put wax inside of a thing in order to make it as oil. But if I'm using the wax as a wax candle with wick, that's 100% permitted. There's no problem whatsoever. Okay, Amar Rami bar Avin says in Rami bar Avin, Itrana pesolta de zifta. Itran. What is itran? Is the psolet of the zefet. So itran is the psolet, is the refuse of the zefet of the tar, which means the nozel salul kashemen shiyotzem zefet. Right, it's a very clear and transparent oil which comes out of the zefet. It comes out of the tar when you heat it up in the fire. Sha'ava. What is sha'ava? Psolta de dusha. Sha'ava, the wax, is actually the psolat of dvash, which means when you take the chalat dvash, right, sheradumi minat dvash, and you took out the honey. So after you take out the honey, the rest is actually that's coming out to comes into wax. So he says the may nafkamina. What is the nafkamina? Why is Rabbi Bar Avin coming and telling us this? Okay. So he says, okay, fine, because everyone used to know what is the kiruta. So why did I have to explain it? That it's coming from the chalot vash. So he says, Lumeka chumemka. Because if somebody wanted to come and sell to his friend sha'avai, he wanted to sell to his friend wax, he could give him the chalot vash, that they already took out the dvash, the honey from these beehives, from these things, and he can't say anything. Why? Because be'emet, the chalot vash, shavru ibud yuter mizeh, so right, he says that's it. You understand? I mean, he can't ask for anything else. Why? Because it comes from the chalot vash. So that's where it's coming from. Okay, so Be'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow morning we continue with Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph. Today was actually a very technical daf, with all the different translations and everything. But Be'ezrat Hashem, we continue tomorrow with Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph.